Living here means closing myself off to everything. No quality of life, no opportunities.
I came here blindly and I don't have most of the documents I need. It's all just the opposite of what I'd planned.
The conscription law enactment this year drove countless numbers of young people to leave Myanmar. Some have abandoned career plans and found legal and job difficulties abroad. While for those still in Myanmar, the escape options are shrinking. Hello and welcome to Thuta, a weekly podcast about human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by a Frontier Myanmar journalist. Names and voices may have been changed to protect contributors. "21-year-old Thuta from Yangon once dreamed of opening a restaurant, but he's now working on a cannabis farm in Thailand. The military coup ended his education early, and the enactment of the conscription law disrupted his plans to work in South Korea.
I had been preparing to go to Korea. I was set to take the EPS exam on September 15th, but I couldn't wait that long. I had to leave urgently. Even if I passed, I'd still have to wait another 6 months to a year before I could leave. The situation back home just isn't livable for that long, so I decided to go elsewhere.
22-year-old Sai Han from a small village in southern Shan State only got as far as Tachilek. He worked hard to get an education and was in the first year of his physics degree when the coup happened. He joined the civil disobedience movement. He then planned to do a technology degree in Taiwan until faced with the threat of being drafted into the military. He and his parents were worried about conscription, but also concerned that if he tried to leave the country, he'd be arrested and then drafted.
In the end, we thought going to Tachilek might be the best option. So that's why I've been living here, but I'm still stressed about conscription, and Tachilek isn't exactly the most peaceful place. So I'm also concerned about job opportunities and other reasons too.
Sai Han knows people in Tachilek and he found work, but it's not where he wanted to be.
It is completely different from the kind of life I wanted for myself. My goal was to graduate, get a degree, and land a good job. But now, my education's unfinished, and I don't have a decent job. It's just worlds apart from what I'd hoped.
Like thousands of others, the lives and future dreams of these two young men have been upended by the actions of the military regime. The so-called State Administration Council, or SAC, announced in February that it would soon begin drafting men between the ages of 18 and 35 and women between the ages of 18 and 27. It started with a lottery system, but for the third, fourth and fifth rounds, it's been pretty much forced recruitment, according to the Burmese Affairs and Conflict Study Group. The group says over 20,000 people have been recruited in these rounds, often through abductions and surprise visits to homes. This recruitment drive has pushed some young people to join resistance forces instead, and some others to flee to border areas or abroad. But it's not an easy or long-term solution. And many people were in such a hurry to leave, they didn't plan carefully, like Thuta.
I managed to bring myself here, but that's about it. My plans and my reality now couldn't be more different. I came here blindly and I don't have most of the documents I need. It's all just the opposite of what I'd planned.
Thuta's older sister Manyane joined him recently. She used to work in HR for a private company in Yangon, but didn't want to stay in Myanmar because of the political situation. Now she's working with him, sharing his small room on the farm. She thought she could save money to go and study in South Korea, but she ended up overstaying on her visitor passport. She's now saving money to pay off the fine and has applied for a pink card to allow her to be legal in Thailand and go elsewhere legally.
Right now, what's more important than my goal of studying in South Korea is making enough to pay the fine so I can stay here legally again. Only then would I be able to go back legally, so that's what I'm trying to save up for now. I honestly cannot spare anything else. I still don't have enough saved even to pay that fine.
Thuta is in the same situation, so now they're both undocumented migrant workers. They need permission from the boss if they want to travel outside the farm. They face fines, jail, or deportation if they're caught by Thai police. But at least they have work. 33-year-old Go Chan fled to Thailand over 6 months ago. He's an accountant who was planning to find a job in Singapore and further his career. But after the conscription law enactment, he fled quickly to Thailand. He's had no luck online finding accountancy jobs in Singapore or restaurant work in Thailand. So after using up a chunk of his savings, he's considering going back to Myanmar.
I'm worried. Some friends managed to get out, but others are still back home, still living in the country, just surviving and hoping to deal with things as they come. I feel the same way. If I do go back, I'll try to deal with it when I get there, month by month, 1 month, 2 months, maybe for 6 months.
For young people still in Myanmar, their escape options are shrinking. In May, the junta banned all conscription-age men from travelling abroad for work. A week later, they eased the restrictions slightly, but men between the ages of 23 and 31 still can't apply for overseas work permits. That's led to many young people going abroad on student or visitor passports, hoping to change them afterwards. But authorities have been cracking down on that as well. There have been many news reports of young passengers not being allowed on flights from Yangon airport because of insufficient documentation. Manini found herself in this situation recently when she was trying to fly to Bangkok. At an extra screening area after the airline check-in, she was stopped by staff from the Bureau of Special Investigations. She was asked about why she was going to Bangkok and who she would stay with. When discrepancies were found in her story, she was sent home.
That moment crushed me. I felt devastated, like going home would mean I'd be lost in Yangon with no future. I expected to go, but my hope was shattered, so I even had thoughts of ending my life. I was so overwhelmed at the airport and found myself crying as I returned home.
22-year-old Manini is from Sagaing, but she's been living and working in Yangon since the military coup. She was terrified of being conscripted, although it's not clear whether women are being drafted yet. Her family urged her to come back to Sagaing, but on her second attempt she managed to get out of Myanmar. She just couldn't see a future for herself in her home country.
Living here means closing myself off to everything. No quality of life, no opportunities. That's why I decided that even if it's hard, I'd rather go abroad and struggle for a chance at something better. It's worth it to open my eyes to new opportunities and find a way forward instead of staying in Myanmar.
Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone has the right to leave any country, including their own. And Article 23 states that everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment. But young people in Myanmar are being stopped from leaving. They have few job opportunities inside, And if they manage to get abroad, they might not find work or might end up vulnerable to exploitation. Very few can follow their original education or career plans. Sai Han feels very frustrated. Coming from a poor family in a small village in Shan State, he was disadvantaged with education access and had no mentors to advise on wider educational or career options. He worked hard and he had ambitious plans, which have come to nothing.
I was born in a village where education is weak. When it comes to going abroad, there's no one in my community I could ask for help. Even if I made it, there's no guidance on what I'd need to know or prepare. Even in the digital age, I came from a place where I don't even know how to search for these things. And that's something I regret. I regret not being able to finish school too, all because of the political situation.
Thuta still hopes to pursue his dream of working in Korea, which means staying in Thailand for now. But he's unsure how he'll manage to survive there. He spends his days confined to a small room on a farm in Thailand, anxious about going outside.
There's no point anymore. Things have got so bad. I don't know how to start again. I feel so resentful and angry whenever I think about it. Even if I went back home now, I'd still live with this anxiety. I would have to plan to leave again because of the political situation.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Do Athan. We'd welcome your feedback on social media, and please follow or subscribe to our pages. This project on human rights reporting is supported by Fondation Hirondelle with the help of our donors. You can listen to our podcasts via the Do Athan Facebook page. They can also be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify and Telegram. You can also listen every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. and Sunday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. on Voice of America Radio. Please tune in again next week.